Okay, we're back and just waiting. They should be coming back soon, and I just didn't want to miss it. Hey, Liam. Thanks for joining. Oh, so let's just get this up so we don't miss it. Oh, gosh. And as soon as I touched it, it stopped. Nope, there it goes. I hate when the feed stutters like that. It makes me very, very nervous. Did you have a good break, Liam? Hopefully you're ready for this long cross. I'm not really looking forward to how long this is going to be with Alessi. I was listening to a few of the law tubers, and they are just like, oh no, like you can't just change the timing like that. You just like they just don't understand the data. They don't understand the technical stuff. They're just sticking to the everything's a conspiracy kind of thing. I was very disheartened. There's quite a few law tubers that I used to listen to very reasonably that I have really kind of like crossed off because I mean, even just blatant stuff it's just. I mean, it's their opinion, and they have every right to it. They're the educated ones on it. Yeah. Oh gosh, do you see that? It keeps moving. Turtle moves. I didn't touch it. Hi, Maggie. Looks like we came back just in time. Look at that. We timed that pretty right. So welcome back, everyone. Yep, Maggie, it's gonna be rough, but we gotta get through it, right? Yeah. Hi, Purple. Thank you for the coffee. You're so good to me, girl. Thank you so much. I hope you're feeling
back
better.
in session. You may be seated.
All right. Oh, and he's just ready to go.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Leslie.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Burgess.
Good afternoon.
You spell your first name Shanon with one N. Do I have that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You describe yourself as a digital forensic examiner, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You use the term forensics often in your analysis.
Yes, I do.
And would you agree that generally the accepted definition of forensics is something that relates to, that's used in, and is suitable for a court of law?
Yes, I would.
And so when you're working in forensics, even in your office, you understand that eventually it's very likely that whatever work you're working on is going to end up or could end up in a court of law, correct?
Correct.
And you mentioned in your direct examination the scientific method, right?
Correct.
And I was pleased to hear mention of the scientific method. And I just want to cover some principles with regard to the scientific method. But before I do, I just want to see how forensics envelopes in certain items. So forensics applies scientific methods and principles to legal matters, particularly in criminal investigations, right?
Correct.
It's a fair statement.
Yes.
Thank you. And forensics are used to help lawyers in their preparation, correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
And it's used to help judges in courts of law.
Yes, that is correct.
And it's also used to help juries and jurors to understand the results of scientific tests, correct?
Correct.
So you know, and you have to presume that as you are performing your analysis, as I stated earlier, that this information is going to end up in a court of law.
Correct.
And then that does that heighten sort of the analysis that you need to do and the sharpness and the accuracy, given that it's going to end up in that form?
It can, depending on context.
And is the primary goal of forensic science to uncover the truth and to provide objective evidence that can be presented in a court?
Yes, it is.
Would you generally agree that the work of forensic science, including the work that you do, is intended to be used in court because scientific evidence can be very powerful, and therefore the forensic science must be accurate?
Correct.
It must be methodical.
Correct.
There must be a method, right?
Right.
It must be detailed.
Yes.
And above all, it must be unbiased and truthful, correct?
That is correct.
And all of this, is it fair to say, distills down to reliability?
Correct.
And reliability is a desired characteristic of the forensic scientist.
Yes.
You want people to be able to rely upon your work.
Yes.
And credibility and honesty is part of reliability, and it's a fundamental component of that, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You've stated that you hold your opinions to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. You said that several times on direct, correct?
Correct.
And because the discipline of forensics involves the application of the scientific method, as you stated on direct, you therefore, of course, applied the scientific method throughout your analysis, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Would you agree with the following statement of the scientific method? And tell me whether, well, let me start with, you understand, you know, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST?
Yes, I am familiar. Yeah.
And would you agree with a definition of the scientific method as the systematic pursuit of knowledge involving the recognition and definition of a problem, the collection of data through observation and experimentation, analysis of the data, the formulation, evaluation, and testing of hypotheses, and where possible, the selection of a final hypothesis? I know there's a lot there, and if you'd like me to break any of it down, you let me know.
No, I find that generally acceptable. Yep.
And I wanted to emphasize the end, the evaluation and testing of hypotheses, and where possible, the selection of a final hypothesis. You understand what I'm meaning by hypotheses?
Yes, I do.
The scientific method is used, among other reasons, is it not, to avoid certain biases in the science process, correct?
Yes,
Right.
correct.
So the method is trying to prevent a scientist, not cultural bias, but scientific bias, correct?
Correct.
Do you know what the American Academy of Forensic Scientists refer to as cognitive biases in science, generally?
No, I do not.
Have you heard of the term confirmation bias?
Yes, I have heard of that term.
Have you heard of the term anchor bias in the scientific method?
I have not heard that term.
Let's start with confirmation bias. Is a fair definition, and you said you're generally familiar with that, right?
Yes, correct.
So let's start with that. That's the practice of sort of selectively gathering and interpreting evidence to confirm the scientist's belief or a belief of another, and at the same time neglecting evidence that contradicts them. Is that a fair definition of confirmation bias?
Yes.
And an example of confirmation bias is not considering alternative hypotheses once an initial hypothesis has been selected, even though the data and other information might contradict the initial hypothesis. Fair statement?
Yes, that's a fair statement.
And confirmation bias, although sometimes it occurs, is intellectually and analytically antithetical to, it's opposing of the scientific method, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And it's to be avoided.
Right.
Anchor bias is, and I know you said you didn't recall it, but let me see if this triggers a recollection. If not, fair enough.
Okay.
Anchor bias is when you prioritize information and data that supports your initial impression of the evidence, even where the impressions are incorrect or it's unknown when the impression is incorrect. You sort of anchor into that. Does that sound like a reasonable definition of anchor bias?
Yes, that sounds reasonable.
So biases are to be avoided in the application of scientific matters and methods because they can lead to incorrect conclusions in science, right?
Right.
And even though they're to be avoided, you called this case a homicide even before you began your alleged scientific testing. Isn't that correct?
I don't recall. Where would I have called it a homicide?
Do you recall your January 30th, 2025 report that you prepared in this case?
Yes, I do.
Do you have it with you?
I do.
Can you turn to page 4, footnote 3, please?
Yes.
Footnote, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It is page 4, footnote 3. And in page 4, footnote 3, it states, I'm sorry, sir, are you there?
Yes, I am sorry.
It says evidence review by the defense counsel Ray O'Keefe, MV homicide. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Now, you assumed in the very beginning, that Miss Reed had hit Mr. O'Keefe with her car before you began the scientific testing that you had discussed in your direct.
No, that would be incorrect.
But you did list homicide down in footnote 3, correct?
Yes, I did.
And so this report's drafted January 30th, 2025, correct?
Correct.
And the testing, I'll just give you a snapshot. Some of the testing you discussed with Mr. Brennan, that testing didn't occur until after this trial started, correct? Some of the testing you described in direct?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, so that testing didn't even occur in the trial. Just assume the trial started at April 22nd. So the testing you described when you were talking about aligning clocks and GPS, that occurred after April 22nd, correct?
Correct. I did.
Now let's go on to another topic. Let's talk about professional credentials. You know what I mean by the term credentials?
Yes, I do.
Professional credentials are important in any profession, correct?
Correct.
And they're important in your forensic examiner profession as well.
Correct.
Your forensic scientists and examiners are no different than any other professional that credentials are important. And your profession requires you to provide curriculum vitae, laying out your education, training, and background, correct?
Correct.
And it's imperative, is it not, that the information that is disseminated about your professional credentials are absolutely truthful, right?
Yes, they should be.
You say they should be. Let's continue on with that topic. You understand what's meant by the term ethics, right? Generally?
Yes. Yes.
And simple ethics mandate that one is truthful about their professional credentials, correct?
Correct.
And a fundamental credential is what type of college degree you hold, correct?
Correct.
People rely on those credentials, and the credentials are the foundation of your expert opinions and analyses, correct?
They can be. Yes.
They can be, and they often are, correct?
Yes, they can be depending on context.
But more often than not, they're important.
Yes, again, depending on context.
You know that not only your colleagues, but your clients, your firm clients, courts, and juries will rely on your CV and your credentials in order to make determinations about whether you're qualified to testify and your depth of your qualifications, correct?
Correct.
You provided the Commonwealth, the defense, and the court with your CV in this case, correct?
Correct.
If I can have a moment, Your Honor, I will
Yes.
get my first exhibits. Yeah, approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
Welcome. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I could have this marked as the next exhibit
For identification?
for identification at this point.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'm going to have it off, I'm going to be eventually offering it into evidence, so.
Okay.
May I present it to the
So
witness?
let's mark it for identification first.
Yep, okay.
Exhibit TT for identification. Okay.
May I present it to the witness?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess,
Yes.
I am presenting you with exhibit.
TT for identification.
I was, thank you, Your Honor. I'm learning not to talk while I'm walking backwards so Madam Court Reporter can hear me. So I'm presenting you with what is exhibit TT for identification. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
And what is that document?
So this document appears to be my CV.
May I approach further?
Yes.
Thank you. And is that CV a document that you have prepared?
Yes, so that is a document that either I have prepared or the company after has prepared.
And is that a fair and accurate document?
It appears to be.
Your Honor, I offer that into evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Brennan?
No, thank you.
Yes.
And if you could just, if Your Honor, if I had the witness hold it, I have some
Hold on,
questions.
let's let it mark
Yes,
first.
Sure.
Yep.
Exhibit 183.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Burgess, you have in front of you your CV that we just spoke about, and I'd ask you please to draw your attention to the education section where underneath in red it says BGS, and then, do I read it correctly? It says Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama Birmingham, Alabama currently pursuing. Did I read that correctly?
You did read that correctly.
Thank you, sir. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Like this, mark is the next for identification only at this point. Oh, excuse me, can I have that back one, show Mr. Brennan? Sure. May I hand it to the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to actually have it marked for identification first,
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Exhibit UU for ID.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Burgess, it's been marked, the document is Exhibit UU for identification. Could you please tell me if you recognize that?
Yes, I do recognize that.
And sir, please describe briefly what that is.
Sure. So it is a CV as well.
Thank you. I would offer it into evidence at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Brennan, any objection?
No, thank you.
Exhibit 184.
Thank you. I present it back to the witness, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Burgess, once you've had a fair opportunity to look at that, I have a question, and that question is simple. Is that your April 2025 CV?
Let me see. Yes, it appears to be.
Thank you. And when you've had a fair opportunity to look at it, when you can just pick your head up, sir, to let me know you're ready. I don't want to
Yes.
rush you, but then I have some questions.
Absolutely. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. So in those two exhibits, your two CVs in front of you, am I correct that the first one is November 2024 and the second one is April 2025?
Let me see. Yes, that appears to be correct.
In both of those CVs, you indicate that you have not yet earned a bachelor's degree.
That is correct.
And you certainly have not earned a Bachelor of Science degree in any educational field, according to those two CVs, right?
Correct.
And in fact, as you sit here today, you do not possess any bachelor's degree.
Correct.
And the reason, as you state, is because that bachelor's degree is currently pending. That's the term you use.
So I use currently pursuing.
Currently pursuing, yes. So you have a public profile that's published on Aperture's website, correct?
Yes, I do.
And it's in the form of a biography page.
Yes, I believe so.
And that biography page has your education listed.
Very possible. Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. If I could have this marked, please, and once Mr. Brennan reviews it. Thank you. Your Honor, may I have this marked as next identification in order?
Okay.
Thank you.
Exhibit BB for ID.
May I hand it to the witness?
Yes.
I now, Mr. Burgess, given you Exhibit DB for identification.
Okay.
You recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
And indeed, that is the bio page that's published on Aperture's website, correct?
That is what it appears to be. Yes.
Now, I would like you, sir, to turn to page 2 of that document.
Okay.
And I'd like to turn your focus to the bottom of education heading. It states, am I correct, sir, BS, Mathematics, and Business Administration. Is that correct?
It does state that. Yes.
and there is no qualification that's currently pending. It states BS in mathematics and business administration, correct?
That's what it states there, yes.
And you do not have a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, do you?
No, I do not.
And if you click on the hyperlink for your CV on that same website, do you know where that hyperlink takes you?
No, I do not.
To any member of the public reading this, including prosecutor, a defense attorney, a judge, or a jury, that represents that you received your Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, does it not?
Objection.
That's sustained.
Now, if you continue on to your photograph, are you familiar with Aperture's website that speaks about you and presents you generally?
Vaguely, yes.
Are you aware that Aperture has two hyperlinks, one that says CV and one says LinkedIn? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am now.
And LinkedIn is a professional networking platform designed for career and business professionals to connect, share content, find jobs, etc. Is that a fair description of LinkedIn?
Yes, it is.
And could we also conclude that it's a professional networking platform, especially for private sector firms like Aperture, that's used to attract clients or potential clients?
Yes, correct.
And potential clients include, for example, the Commonwealth of the state of Massachusetts, correct?
Correct.
And indeed, the Commonwealth is no longer, if you will, an attracted client, but it's an actual client of Aperture and you, correct?
Correct.
And that's the status of the relationship here. Aperture is a client of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in this case, right?
Correct.
So is it fair to say that your CV, especially when it's published on a LinkedIn or published on a website, is something that is published to intend to have, especially if you're in the private sector, have clients view and retain your services? That's a hope and an expectation, correct?
Yes, that is part of it.
Now, when you look at that document, when you click on, if you were to be in your office, and let's see if you're familiar with this, you click on your LinkedIn on Aperture's page, that would ordinarily take you directly to your professional LinkedIn account, correct? Isn't that what the links are there for?
Yes, I would expect so.
Are you notified when someone electronically accesses your LinkedIn account?
Not accesses, no. Are you referring to viewing?
Yes, that's a better
sorry,
verb,
yeah.
viewing. Yes.
Yes.
So you're notified. Were you notified within the last 72 hours that someone from the defense accessed your publicly available or viewed your publicly available LinkedIn account?
No, I was not aware.
Are you aware that within the last 72 hours, that hyperlink on Aperture's official website was disabled?
No, I was not aware.
Are you aware that now if you try to go on that link, that you can't, that it's disabled?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Do you know whether anyone from Aperture directed someone within Aperture to disable your LinkedIn account within the last 72 hours?
No, I'm not.
Have you spoken to anybody at Aperture about your LinkedIn account?
No, I have not.
Your Honor, I'd like to move EV into evidence at this time, please.
Okay, any objection?
I can just see it. It's
This one.
this one I presented to you.
No objection.
Exhibit 185.
And we are done with those, so
Sure.
if I could ask those back to you. we can get them
Absolutely.
court reporter. Your Honor, could I have the next one marked for identification at this point?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
WW. Thank you.
May I present to the witness?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I presented to you what is marked as Exhibit WW for identification. I'd ask that you take a look at it, take a fair amount of time, and then if you could, sir, pick your head up so I could see that you're ready.
Sure. Okay.
Do you recognize that document, sir?
Yes, it appears to be a screenshot of my LinkedIn account.
Your Honor, I offer that into evidence.
Can I see you at sidebar with these?
So this would be sidebar number 5, right? I'm thinking 5, right? Yep. There we go. Yep. Couch. We're all together there. Oh, couldn't they object? Let's just see. Hello, Teresa. Welcome. Welcome. Couldn't they object to him being an expert before he started? Well, yes, they tried. They did everything they could to keep his testimony out. And now they're doing everything they can to discredit every single part of it they can. Yes, that's the job of the the defense. It's going to be hard to discredit the actual evidence itself, or they'll go after the witness. I bet it doesn't include will attack the witness and not the data on his CV. Nope. I bet you it doesn't. Well, all reports on the socials, all through last week, I noticed it. Those inside the courtroom kept repeating over and over again the difference between this jury and the first jury. That the first jury seemed a little lighter, a little jovial. This one is very stoic, quiet. 5 of them taking notes almost all the time. Many of them with technical data, picking up and taking notes. Except for one juror. They always remark about this one juror who just doesn't seem to be bothered about anything. Yeah, he is. It's unfortunate. I mean, it's part of expert witness testimony. Actually, any witness testimony in this trial is that you got to really prepare yourself for being nitpicked. I mean, he came right out of the gate over a word that the man didn't even say in regards to homicides, motor vehicle homicide as reported by someone else to him. And they're trying to put that on him. That was ridiculous. That is how it was documented. You know, that shows bias, that the case, I mean, the charge is murder with her car. I mean, what does he want? I mean, you call a duck a duck. We're not saying she didn't show bias, say she did it, anything like that. That's what the case is. Anyway. I wonder how many of these sidebars we're going to have this afternoon if he keeps this up. Yep, he's going, the nitpicking of his credentials is quite interesting because their actual credentials, these credentials stand up so much better than their expert witness. It's like unbelievable when you see the two compared. And I think that's part of the problem here. They're trying to pull everything down.
May I approach your honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Burgess, I am presenting to you what has been marked as Exhibit WW for identification. Is that a fair and accurate representation of your personal LinkedIn page? If you could take a moment to take a look at it. Sure.
Mr. Alessi, I'm going to ask you to step back so all the jurors can see.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Oh, here they are. They're going to compare his LinkedIn to his actual CV submitted. I mean, man, talk about, well, when you got nothing, right? When they've actually got nothing to cross
Yes,
off.
it does with a error on page 2 regarding education.
Right, and we're going to get to that.
Sure.
But this is you recognize this as a fair and accurate depiction of your personal LinkedIn page with the exception of what you just mentioned, correct?
Correct.
Did you draft that document that's represented as Exhibit WW?
I have drafted that over time, yes.
And when was the last time you viewed that document on your LinkedIn?
Objection. He didn't
I
enter the
don't typically
LinkedIn
view the profile
for
page,
his
so it
credentials.
would have been, I could not tell you how long it's been.
Do you have any reason to believe that that Exhibit WW is not on your LinkedIn page online as we sit here today?
No, I don't.
Your Honor, I move Exhibit WW into evidence.
No objection.
This is ridiculous.
Exhibit 186.
All right, I'm going to have to
Thank you.
mute.
I would like to turn your attention to the printout of your personal LinkedIn page and go right to the second page, bottom. And under education, it says University of Alabama at Birmingham. It's got a little UAB acronym there. And it says Bachelor of Science, B period, S period, comma, Applied Mathematics and Scientific Computation, 2016-2018. Do you see that, sir?
Yes, I do.
That's not correct, is it?
No, it's not correct.
And you do not hold a BS in a Bachelor of Science in Applied Mathematics and Scientific Computation from the University of Alabama at Birmingham, do you?
I do not. And that would have been at that time an expected graduation date?
So it would be expected, you state.
Correct.
It would be another word for, is it another word currently pursuing? Is that similar to expecting?
Sure, that could be similar.
But you know how to put currently pursuing down, don't you, sir? Because you did it on the first few CVs, but you don't have it on your LinkedIn page. Am I correct?
Correct. That's probably because obviously that has not been updated in quite some time.
And you said you get notifications when people access your LinkedIn page, correct?
I get selective notifications when people view my LinkedIn page.
So you know people are looking at your LinkedIn page. You know people are looking at your education. And you have down here 2016 to 2018. So that time period is 7 years old from 2018, yet you use the 2016 to 2018 on your LinkedIn page, correct?
Correct. With the caveat that my understanding is people look at your post, not specifically the profile information.
Oh, so you believe apparently when people are looking at it and what they look at?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying generally.
Generally.
Correct.
But you don't know who's looking at the education section on your LinkedIn page and relying upon what is represented here, that you have a Bachelor of Science in Applied Mathematics and Scientific Computation from the University of Alabama at Birmingham.
Not from the LinkedIn page. Yeah, just independently of the LinkedIn page, yes.
And as you sit here today, that page is still live on your LinkedIn, correct?
Correct.
So a key aspect of your credentials, whether or not you have obtained a Bachelor of Science, is incorrect in more than one document that I've presented here today, correct?
No, I would not agree with that.
Well, it's incorrect in this one, correct?
Correct.
And the one previously to that, there's two documents that have you listed. This LinkedIn, may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. So there's two documents, is there not, sir? There's, may I?
Sure.
Thank you. And Madam Court Reporter, if I can have the previous LinkedIn evidence? So if you could hold that, this one, sir, and I'm going to get that if I could from you, thank you. And Exhibit 185 that's in evidence, if you can turn to the second page. So if you look at each of those state that you have a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration. So there are two documents about your credentials that are inaccurate, correct?
Yes, that have errors. Yes, that is correct.
May I have those back,
Sure.
sir?
Yep, both.
Yes, please.
Yes. There you go.
Thank you. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I have the next document marked
Show
for
me-
identification
show this
only at
one.
this point. You have this marked as the next for identification.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it XX for ID?
You hand it to the witness, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Handing the witness Exhibit XX for identification. Do you recognize that document, sir?
So it appears to be a CV, yes.
You say it appears to be a CV. Can you describe that any further?
Yes, so it's a copy of my CV.
Is that a CV you prepared, sir?
It would have been prepared by myself or Aperture, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end.
Sorry, it would have been prepared by myself or Aperture, yes.
Yourself or Aperture?
Correct.
But you had, at a minimum, a role in preparing that, did you not?
More than likely, yes.
Yeah, and you would have reviewed that because it's about you before it would have been used by Aperture, correct?
More than likely, yes.
You wouldn't let somebody put a CV up and out to the public without you reviewing it, would you, sir?
So there are other staff members that do review and update CVs.
But you're the only one who's going to know whether what's on it is accurate or not, correct?
Unless I explain that to them, yes.
So either way, either you prepared it yourself or you interacted with somebody and explained it and collaborated with them to make sure it was right to the best of your ability, correct?
Correct.
If you can look at the highlighted portion, sir, under education.
There's no highlight. Well, I understand
sorry.
what you're talking about. There's no highlighted.
I'm
portion.
sorry, let's strike that. If you look under education, the first line, it says in the right underneath BGS. Do you see that, sir?
I do, yes.
And then to the right, it says Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, 2022. Did I read that correct?
Yes, you did.
And up in the upper left-hand corner, there's a photograph.
Yes, there is.
Is that you, sir, in the photograph?
Yes, it is.
And in the spelling of your name, Shanon, that's with one N, correct?
Correct, yes.
And so that is not only you in the photograph, that's the spelling of your name with one N, correct?
Correct.
And that's the correct spelling of your first name with one N, correct?
Yes, it
So
is.
that's definitely you represented in this document, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Now let's look at the first line that relates to education. It states Bachelors of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, correct?
That is what it states, yes.
And the date is 2022, correct?
Correct.
So this document represents that you received your Bachelor's of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration in 2022, correct?
That is what it states, but there are a number of errors in that, yes.
Correct. So let's go on. So this is the third example. Am I correct, sir? Well, let me, may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I offer Exhibit XX into evidence.
No objection.
Okay. Exhibit 187.
Sir, is Exhibit 187 a CV that is linked directly from Aperture's website?
I do not know. I would have to look and check that.
So as you sit here today, you are not able to state whether that CV is linked directly from Aperture's website.
Correct.
So this is a third example of a document that incorrectly states that you have a Bachelor of Science when you do not possess that degree, correct?
It has errors or outdated information, correct?
Well, when you say outdated, how is it that you can call a date outdated next to something that you don't possess?
I don't understand your question.
Well, you just used the phrase either incorrect or outdated. I'm trying to understand your statement that it's
Sure. So
outdated. Isn't it either you have a Bachelor of Science degree or you don't? Is it?
I have represented I do not have a bachelor's degree.
But in here, it's represented that you do, correct?
Yes, it is
All
an
right.
error. Yes.
So let's look at what the name is that are on these documents. It says Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration. Do you see that, sir?
I do.
Are you aware that there's no degree at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, called a Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration?
Yes, I am. And that is one of the errors I've identified.
So you would agree that there's not even a degree called Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration offered at the University of Alabama, correct?
Correct. That should be Bachelor of General Studies with minor in Mathematics and Business Administration.
And what you just articulated, you do not possess as you sit here today, correct?
That is correct.
What you possess is an associate's degree, correct?
Correct.
And when did you obtain that associate's degree?
So that would have been 2015.
Are you familiar with the term mendacity?
I am not.
Are you familiar with a CV of 2015?
No, I'm not.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I have this marked as the next exhibit for identification, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Why these?
Thank you.
Do you recognize that document, sir?
No, I do not recognize this document.
May I put your hand?
Yes.
Have the time, sir.
Sure.
Do you recall ever pursuing, may I stand here and ask some questions, Your Honor?
Okay,
Thank
can
you.
he see the document as well, or do you have a copy for him?
He can see it as well, Your Honor.
Okay, I was just wondering the purpose,
Yep, sure.
and just step back.
Yes,
just a little.
yep. Sir, do you recall when you started pursuing a Bachelor of Science degree of any kind?
Sure, I do. Around 2008.
So you started pursuing a Bachelor of Science for the first time in 2008, correct?
Correct.
If I did the math correctly, sir, you've been pursuing a Bachelor of Science degree for 17 years, correct?
That is correct.
And you have not obtained it as you sit here today.
That is correct.
And yet there are the various documents that we've seen that state that you have obtained the Bachelor of Science, correct?
Again, with errors or misinterpretation. Yes.
Errors or misinterpretation that are you stating, but you would agree those errors or misinterpretation have been in existence for some time, correct?
Yes, I'm being
And-
made aware of them now. Yes.
Yeah, and they haven't been corrected for some time, correct?
Correct.
You work for insurance companies, correct?
I do work for insurance companies in addition to law firms. Yes.
But you work for insurance companies, correct?
Yes. Sometimes. Yes.
Well, you state that right in your report in this case, don't you, sir? That you work for insurance companies?
I do work for insurance companies. Yes.
And what role do you play in working for insurance companies? You working for them, or are you working for the policyholders that have paid premiums or are making a claim to try to get money from an insurance company? Which role do you have?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
So I work for the insurance company themselves.
And in your work for the insurance company, has any of that work related to denying claims to insureds?
Objection.
Why don't I see you on this, Mr. Alessi?
Sure.
Sidebar number 6. When do they get to object to for relevance? So far we've corrected his name. We've decided that in 2015 he couldn't write a really good CV. He's still finishing his degree, but it's not that it's not accurate. It does say pending and the one. None of this was submitted to the court, by the way. I mean, if he wants to take the one that was submitted by the court and go over that and say that those credentials aren't, I mean, that's one thing, but man, oh man, oh man. Hopefully, since they're not bothering to actually go after the evidence or the time clocking or the part that actually nails Karen Reed to the scene of the crime at the time of the crime, kind of doing the crime, maybe the jury just sees that these guys are a little bit cuckoo as far as the defense here, a little lacking on the common sense.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you familiar with the phrase academic dishonesty?
Yes, I am.
Let's talk about your
Oh.
work on this case.
Academic dishonesty, huh?
In October of 2024, the Commonwealth hired you to perform a new data acquisition from the infotainment and telematics system of Ms. Reed's Lexus SUV, correct?
That is correct.
And in your October 10, 2024 report, you outlined a proposal for attempting to extract additional data from the telematics and infotainment modules, correct?
Correct. With the caveat, it's not a report. It is a proposed protocol.
So we'll call it a proposal. In that proposal, you explain why, in your opinion, you believed an additional data acquisition was necessary based on your words, education, training, and background, correct?
That is correct.
And when you prepared your proposal, you had access to the manufacturing specifications of the chips in question, correct?
I did.
You were under no critical deadlines to get the work done, correct?
Correct.
In your initial October 10, 2024 report, you explained that you believed the data acquisition was incomplete because, in your opinion, based on your education, again, your words, training, and experience, the download of the acquisition was less than the chip's storage capacity, correct?
That is correct.
And converting megabytes, B-Y-T-E-S, to megabits, B-I-T-S, and gigabytes to gigabits is a basic digital forensic concept. And that concept's critical to successful data acquisition and analysis. Fair statement?
I would say that's a fair statement.
In your initial report, you stated that the December 2023 data acquisition was from the Spansion clip, S-P-A-N-S-I-O-N, from the infotainment model was incomplete because the acquisition was only 8 megabytes in size, even though the chip has a storage capacity of 64 megabytes, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And that's your October 10, 2024 report, correct?
Protocol.
I'm sorry. Well, is it proposal or protocol?
Protocol.
Protocol.
It is a protocol.
We'll use protocol. And you blame this on the, quote, programmer's inability to fully read the component, close quote, correct?
Correct.
In point of fact, the manufacturing specifications establish that the total flash memory component of the chips in question is equal to 64 megabits, not 64 megabytes, correct?
That is correct.
64 megabits is 8 megabytes, correct?
That is correct.
That means the expansion chip was not incomplete, correct?
Correct.
The acquisition was the same data size as the total memory storage capacity of the chip, correct?
Correct.
Your protocol for data acquisition was based on a misunderstanding of megabits versus megabytes, correct?
It was based on a working theory and a misinterpretation. Yes.
And that was your misinterpretation.
Yes, it was.
You mentioned Ms. Gaffney in your direct testimony. Do you recall that, sir?
Yes, I do.
She successfully acquired 8 megabytes of data from that expansion chip during the December 2023 chip-off, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that wasn't your only conversion mistake in your October 10, 2024 report, was it?
I'm not aware of any others.
You stated in your report that the data acquisition of the Micron JWB57 was incomplete because the acquisition was only 540 MB in size, but the storage capacity was 4 GB, and that's stated in your October 10, 2024 report, correct?
Protocol. Yes,
Protocol.
correct.
The Micron JWB57 chip is 4 gigabits flash memory component, not a 4 gigabyte flash memory component, as you incorrectly stated in your protocol.
That is correct.
So contrary to your assertion in the report, 4 gigabits is equal to 50 megabytes, which suggests that all the available data was successfully retrieved from this chip during the first acquisition by Ms. Gaffney, correct?
Correct.
So Ms. Gaffney was not in error on that. She did not make a mistake on that, correct?
Not on that specific thing. Yes.
Right. It was you that simply misunderstood the difference between gigabits and gigabytes, correct?
Misinterpreted. I would not say misunderstood.
You misinterpreted the difference between gigabits and gigabytes.
Correct. At that
You
time.
got
yes.
that wrong in layperson's terms.
Correct. I did make an error.
You stated in your report that Micron, and I'm going to have to give an alphanumeric number because I know in digital forensics it's important to be precise and accurate, so bear with me, sir. You stated in your report that the Micron 29F2G08 ABAEA is a 2 gigabyte chip and that the acquisition should have been 2 gigabytes, but was incomplete because it was only 264 MB in size, correct?
That is correct.
And the Micron, and I'm just going to refer back to the number to not repeat it, the long alphanumeric number is a 2 gigabit flash memory component, not a 2 gigabyte flash memory component, as you incorrectly stated in your protocol, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So 2 gigabytes is equal to 250 megabytes, correct?
Correct.
And that suggests that all available data was successfully retrieved during the first acquisition by Ms. Gaffney, correct?
From those chips, yes.
From those chips.
Correct.
I'm correct, right?
Yes.
Your opinion was again incorrect and was based on a misunderstanding of gigabits and gigabytes, correct?
A misinterpretation, correct.
A misinterpretation in layperson's terms. You got that wrong also.
It was an error, yes.
Did you have that protocol peer reviewed, sir?
No, I did not.
Was it peer reviewed by anybody at Aperture?
No, it was not.
Did you have a supervisor review that protocol before you filed it with the court?
No, sir.
You submitted your proposal based on your education, background, and experience, correct?
Correct.
Turns out that the entire foundation of your proposal was based on a fundamental misinterpretation of the difference between a computer bit and a computer byte, correct?
No, not the entire thing. No.
Well, certainly a part of it was, correct, sir?
Correct. Partial.
You got conversions wrong with respect to analyzing 3 different chips, correct?
Correct.
And since you wrote that, have you learned the difference between a bit and a byte?
I've always known the difference between a bit and a byte. Yes.
You learned that in this case from reading the affidavit of an expert for the defense who pointed out those errors before you submitted your supplemental report. Isn't that correct?
I would have to go back and look at the timing on that. I believe I submitted the supplemental before the protocol from the other expert.
Are you certain of that?
I'm not certain of that.
Isn't it the case that the expert for the defense submitted his affidavit before you submitted your supplemental report?
Objection.
Do you know that?
I do not know that.
You don't know one way or another.
Correct.
And that person that I've referred to for the defense is Matthew DeSogra. You know that name?
I do.
And you have read Mr. DeSogra's affidavit in this case, have you not, sir?
I have. Yes.
And you would agree that he pointed out these misinterpretations of yours in his affidavit, correct?
Correct.
I would like to go back to your January 30th, 2025 report. May I have a moment, Your Honor, please?
Yes.
Thank you. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. In your January 30th, 2025 report, you know which one I'm referring to, sir?
Yes, I do.
Am I correct that you indicated that at the time of this, quote, incident, Burla did not offer support for the infotainment and telematics modules removed from the Lexus, but have since released updated software according to similar modules that are supported by in-vehicle acquisition?
That is correct.
And the infotainment module that was removed from Ms. Reed's Lexus is consistent with the MMU. You know what I'm referring to in the MMU?
Right.
It's consistent with the MMU documented by Burla and has been identified as containing an internal micro SD card not acquired during the initial chip-off acquisition by Mrs. Gaffney. You remember that statement in the report, sir?
I do. Yes.
You obtained no additional information from the chips that were already analyzed by Ms. Gaffney, did you?
Correct.
Correct that you obtained no additional information, right?
No data of value from those chips. Yes.
No data of value. So all the data of value Ms. Gaffney had already obtained from those chips, correct?
That's kind of a confusing question. So there was no data of value from those chips to begin with.
Fair enough.
Right.
So Ms. Gaffney didn't miss anything of value.
Correct.
Fair?
Correct.
Do you know how much the Commonwealth has paid Aperture to date for doing the work in this case?
I do not.
Do you have any involvement at all in knowing what the contract is between Aperture and the Commonwealth?
I do not.
Have you ever had any discussions with any colleagues from Aperture with regard to how much Aperture has been paid in this case?
No, I have not.
Do you have an estimation as to how much Aperture has been paid in this case?
Not off the top of my head. I do not.
You've never had any discussion with anybody at Aperture about the fees Aperture has charged the Commonwealth in this case?
No, I have not.
Who in Aperture is in charge of knowing how much fees Aperture has charged the Commonwealth?
That would be the accounting department,
Would Dr. Judson Welcher know?
potentially.
Your analysis, I want to move on to another category, sir. Your analysis in this case was not strictly limited to data in science, was it?
No, it was strictly limited to data and science.
The Commonwealth requested that you review numerous materials in connection with your analysis in this case, correct?
I did review materials, yes.
You did not review the January 29, 2022 CARS report by, well, let me put it this way. Did you review the January 29, 2022 CARS report prepared by Trooper Paul?
No, I did not.
Do you know what a CARS report is?
I do not.
Do you know that a CARS report was prepared by Trooper Paul for this case?
No, I do not.
If there was a collision analysis and reconstruction report prepared by a trooper in that case, would you want to see a document such as that?
No, not for my analysis.
Would somebody at Aperture want to see that document?
Objection.
I'll reword. Are you familiar with collision analysis and reconstruction reports prepared by law enforcement agencies?
I am vaguely familiar, yes.
Vaguely familiar? Have you ever used one in your analysis at all?
I have seen them, yes.
You've seen them. And my question is, seeing them, have you ever read any of them?
Yes, I have read them, yes.
Have you ever considered a collision analysis and reconstruction report as part of the work that you do at Aperture?
Not specifically a collision analysis report from law enforcement. We do routinely see crash reports, but I think what you're referring to is something else.
Are you aware of a supplemental collision analysis and reconstruction report of Trooper Paul of the Massachusetts State Police dated July 24, 2024?
No, I'm not.
Do you know whether Trooper Paul is part of the Massachusetts State Police reconstruction team?
I do not.
And lastly, do you know whether he's part of the reconstruction team in this case?
I do not.
Did anybody tell you to avoid reviewing a collision analysis and reconstruction report in this case?
No, they did not.
You did, however, review the 2024 testimony of Trooper Nicholas Garino in the proceeding of last year, didn't you?
I did for specific data, yes.
So that's not really science and data, is it? It's testimony.
Yes, it is testimony.
So you did review materials in this case beyond science and data, correct? You reviewed testimony.
Sure, that is common, yes.
having reviewed Trooper Garino's testimony, you therefore are aware of the theory that he proposed in the first proceeding, correct? It was in his testimony?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I'm not. So specifically, I reviewed Trooper Garino's testimony for information related to the infotainment and telematics modules.
So did you read all of the testimony?
No, I would have skimmed it.
You would have skimmed the testimony?
Correct.
And how would you, and what would be the purpose to just skim it?
Sure. So I'm only interested in the information related to the infotainment and telematics modules.
So you just, I want to make sure I have this right. So you would skim it, you would look for what you want to focus on, and you, as you sit here today, you don't have any recollection of what the theory of the Commonwealth was in the first proceeding?
Not from that testimony, no.
Do you recall Trooper Garino as part of what you reviewed? So you reviewed certain things of Trooper Garino in his testimony, correct?
Correct.
And in your direct testimony, you testified extensively about the iPhone of John O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
And you looked at and testified about a lot of information from the phone of John O'Keefe. Is that a fair statement?
Location data.
Location data. Did you read, therefore, Trooper Garino's claim that the last...
Objection. Objection.
So why don't I see it side by, find out what's going on with Alessi?
Sure.
God damn it, unless he caught me with a mouthful of cracker. All right, is that sidebar 6, I think? This is going, at least he's on the data now and the methodology. Yeah, I see it, Liam. He's just being very, what's the word? Like, I'm going to use like a really weird word here. He's being persnickety. He reminds me of somebody's like really ancient old bitty aunt. Is it 7, Maggie? Oh, did I mess up? Probably because, like, Alessi has a habit of putting me in a coma. Like, I should pay attention greater, but he has a tendency to, like, make me nod off. Five. No, I think it's... Did I miss one? Because I think this is 6. I don't see me marking another one. Did I miss one? I don't know. Hey, it's 6 or 7. Right? Persnickety. Okay, if you think it's 7 too, Maggie and okay, you guys, I'm going to say 7 because I trust the two of you who've been paying attention. But I'll mark it this time so I can go. What? But I'm not seeing a 6 written, so I'm thinking it's 6. I know, like when you said 5, I say 4, but I meant 5. Like I typed it wrong. And I thought the last one was, I don't know now. I didn't see one written either, Rocky. That's why I thought it was 6. The last one you and I did together was 5. And we didn't write anything after. But I could have missed it because, like, he annoys me. I'm not going to, I can't go back and check the stream until later. Ooh, sweet chili garlic hummus. That sounds delicious, Jean. I would like some sweet chili garlic hummus. You know what I did get though? I did get some of this Szechuan chili crisp. You know that like the new sauce, the chili crisp sauce. I did get some of that. Nope, it doesn't really matter, Maggie. You're right. Put it back, and let's see if Alessi actually could convince the judge where he was going, so they could stop this stuff.
Jurors, we're just waiting a minute for something before we can proceed. Feel free to stand up and stretch if you'd like. I'm trying to do this without having to step out of the courtroom.
Mm-hmm. Or unless he's got to go into the archives, maybe he's looking for his high school diploma or something. I don't know. Okay, sorry, not sorry. That was a bit snide. Well, I mean, seriously. Oh, the one you dropped into the that one was really good, Gene. Okay, he's back.
Mr. Alessi, is there anything we can go to and come back? If there's not, there's not.
It would be a bit incongruous, Your Honor, but I
Okay.
can do it if Your Honor would like.
Do you have any idea how much longer it's going to be?
I will go check. Thank you very much. Pardon me? May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I will show this to Mr. Brennan first, and then if the court would like to see it, we've got another.
But that's, thank you.
Brennan. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. May I have this marked as the next exhibit for identification, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
No worries.
ZZ Friday.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, I'm handing you what has been marked as Exhibit ZZ for identification. Ask you to take a moment to look at it, please. When you've had a fair opportunity to look at it, if you could pick your head up, sir, and I'll proceed that time.
Okay.
So I'm going to just ask one predicate question and then ask you another question.
Sure.
Does Exhibit ZZ contain, and if you just answer this yes or no, that would be great. Does it contain location data information?
Objection.
I'll allow that without pursuing
That's
it.
the only one I have for that purpose.
Okay.
Does it, sir?
Yes, it does.
Did you consider this part of Trooper Garino's testimony in any review that you've done in this case?
No, I did not.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
On December, we're going to move on now to another topic, sir. On December 5th, 2024, Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, you know that name, sir?
Yes, I do.
How do you know that name?
So he is the one who hand delivered the infotainment and telematics module to our office in South Lake.
Exactly. So he delivered the infotainment module containing the SD card that you talked about on direct examination so that you could attempt to reinstall it in Miss Reed's vehicle for an in-vehicle acquisition attempt, correct?
That was part of it, yes.
That was part of it.
Correct.
That day, you initially attempted an in-vehicle acquisition, meaning you reconnected the infotainment module to the faceplate in Miss Reed's vehicle and reinstalled both the infotainment and the telematics module for an in-vehicle unlock and acquisition, correct?
That was an attempt, yes, on December 7th for clarification.
And that was on December 7th.
Correct.
And that was December 7th of 2024.
Correct.
You conducted this same testing on an exemplar vehicle. And to be clear, exemplar was a vehicle that Aperture had purchased.
Yes, that is a vehicle that Aperture has purchased.
So Aperture purchased it. And it's a vehicle, as I understand, you testified, that's similar to the vehicle of Miss Reed, correct?
Correct.
And so you call it an exemplar because it's similar to the vehicle in question, correct?
Correct. Correct.
So I'm going to continue using your parlance of exemplar vehicle.
Sure.
And so you conducted this same testing on the exemplar vehicle and successfully reinstalled and tested the infotainment and telematics systems for an in-vehicle unlock and acquisition, correct?
Unlock.
Okay, so for just an in-vehicle acquisition.
Correct.
I appreciate the correction, sir. But in this case, with Miss Reed's actual Lexus, you were unable to successfully reinstall and test the infotainment and telematic systems, correct?
Correct.
On Miss Reed's Lexus, you were able to get the infotainment backlight and faceplate to illuminate, but in your own words, the infotainment system did not respond as expected, correct?
Correct.
So instead, you took the micro SD card itself and attempted to retrieve data from that card directly, correct?
Correct.
Lexus locks cards in its system, correct?
It does, yes.
If Lexus thought it was appropriate to access those cards, do you know whether or not they would have them unlocked? Do you know?
I do not know.
Now,
I'm
Oh,
going to
sorry.
let the answers.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to cover a basic question. Do you have any citation to any scientific literature where specifically what you did on this Lexus model has ever done before? Has it ever been done before, do you know?
No, not on this specific model, which is why we did the exemplar testing.
Right, so there's no scientific literature that states that the methodology that you used with this Lexus model is an appropriate methodology at all, correct?
There's literature that addresses the methodology in other ways, but not specific to this Lexus, correct?
There's no literature at all stating that the methodology that you used for this Lexus is the appropriate methodology to use for this Lexus model, correct?
There's no literature about this appropriate Lexus model, correct?
Let's talk about your initial report of January 30th of 2025. You issued your initial analysis and report on January 30th, 2025, correct?
Correct.
Your report included a general timeline analysis. You used that phrase, timeline analysis, that you stated could impact, quote, event reconstruction. Do I have that right? Your January 30th, 2025 report does not discuss a collision, does it?
No, not in my report, no.
As a matter of fact, your January 30th, 2025 report doesn't even use the word collision, does it?
Correct, because I'm looking at data from the infotainment and telematics module.
But the report of January 30th, 2025 does not even contain the word collision in it, correct?
I believe it does in the background portion, which would be on page 2 or 3, which would just be restating the, if you mind if I can look at my report?
Oh, please.
Sure.
Go ahead.
No, so I apologize. The word that was used was incident.
Right,
Correct.
but you don't use the word collision at all in your January 30th, 2025 report.
That is correct.
I appreciate you checking that, sir. Also, and please keep your report handy.
Sure.
Your January 30th, 2025 report does not in any way detail the timing of what you now call a text stream event at all, correct?
No, it does not.
So in your January 30th, 2025 report, you refer to it as an incident, and in your May 8th report, you refer to it as a text stream event, correct?
That would be referring to two different things.
Right, right. But did you use the parlance text stream event at all in your January 30th, 2025 report?
No, I did not.
But you're using it now, correct?
Correct.
And we're talking about the same event, right?
Correct.
In fact, your analysis and conclusions were limited in your January 30th, 2025 report to generally identifying a clock skew between Mr. O'Keefe's phone and Miss Reed's infotainment system, correct?
That is correct.
On January 30th, 2025, you engaged in no further analysis to determine whether precisely the 1162-2 text stream event that you now call it occurred, correct?
Correct.
Why not?
I was not asked to at that time. I was just asked to look at the general timeline and consistency of the timestamps.
So back in January 30th, 2025, you were not asked to engage in analysis to determine when precisely the 1162-2 text stream event occurred. Is that fair?
That is fair, and that is based on the common concept that, a lot of cases that we work, there is clock skew, but we do not have events to precisely determine what that clock skew is.
Understood. So wasn't your goal, however, on January 30th, 2025, to determine the correct timeline of events relative to this incident? Wasn't that your goal?
It was my goal to determine the data from the infotainment and telematics modules that were missed in the initial download, and create a timeline and consistency of those timestamps.
So your goal was to create a timeline, correct?
Correct.
And that timeline, among other uses, was to be for your colleague, Dr. Judson Welcher, to use that in his analysis, correct?
That is correct.
So you knew not only what your purpose was, but you knew what your work was going to be used for by Dr. Welcher, your colleague, correct?
Well, I knew it was going to be provided, yes.
Well, you knew it was going to be provided. Have you ever talked to Judson Welcher, your colleague, about this case at all?
I have vaguely, yes.
How many times have you talked to him?
I would count a handful of times.
And just give me a general idea of the nature of the discussions between you and Dr. Welcher. You're both working on the same, quote, incident, right?
Sure, yes.
What would have been the nature of those discussions?
So those discussions would have been identifying what I found on the infotainment and telematics modules, and discussing, explaining that data to Dr. Welcher.
So did Dr. Welcher ever tell you, your colleague, why he wanted to use that data for his purposes?
For reconstructing a timeline.
And for reconstructing a timeline and picking a time for what you now call a text stream event, correct? You knew that's what he was doing.
Correct, for a timeline, yes.
Right, so you knew that for the 1162.2 text stream event, he was going to use your analysis back in January of 2025 to try to pinpoint that text stream event 1162.2, correct?
That is correct.
You knew that.
Yes.
And you know that he used that data to select a specific range for that text stream 1162.2 text stream event, correct?
I don't know if select would be the right. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
What term would you use?
Sure. So based on the data, he's identifying the time approximately when that event would have occurred.
And that text stream event, that 1162.2, is what Aperture is contending is a time of a collision. Is that correct?
That's sustained on that. Ask it differently, Mr. Ness.
Do you know the purpose of the 1162.2 text stream event in the analysis performed by your firm?
No, Dr. Welcher, I do not.
So you performed your analysis and all these timelines that you talked about on direct without knowing what Dr. Welcher was going to do with that data?
No, so sorry, I misspoke. So it would be to timeline the time and date, or to put a time and date with when that text stream trigger would have occurred.
Exactly.
Right.
So you knew what the purpose was of your work.
Correct.
With regard to Dr. Welcher's work.
Correct.
And isn't Dr. Welcher's work on the 1162.1 and the 1162.2 text stream event an important aspect of the work of Aperture in this case?
Yes, it is.
Did anybody from the Commonwealth ask you in your January 30th, 2025 report to not discuss your work in connection with the text stream 1162.1 and the 1162.2 events?
No.
But you didn't discuss that meaning the 1162-1 and 1162-2 events in your first report in January 30th, did you?
That was not part of my report, correct?
But you did delve into that and pretty heavily in your May 8th report, correct?
Correct.
And you delved into that pretty heavily in the middle of this trial, correct?
Correct.
So after the trial, do you know the trial started around April 22nd in this case? Generally?
Yes, generally.
So let's do the timeline on this. January 30th, 2025, you prepare your initial report, correct?
Correct.
In that initial report, you mentioned nothing about text stream event 1162-1, correct?
Correct.
In that report, you mentioned nothing about text stream event 1162-2, correct?
Correct.
The trial starts April 22nd, correct?
Correct.
Roughly.
Generally.
No, the trial in this case, this trial about April 22nd, after the trial starts and after witnesses, of course, are appearing, you prepare another report, correct?
Correct.
And that's your May 8th report,
Correct.
right in the middle of this trial.
Correct.
And right in the middle of this trial, you enlarge the number for the 21 to 29 range. That's bigger than what was in your first report, correct?
No, that is not correct.
Well, you changed the number, don't you?
No, I did not change the number.
Well, let's go back to see exactly what you did, sir.
Sure.
Let's start with the basics. You said on direct examination, sir, that you prepared your May 8th report on your own. Those were your words on your direct testimony, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to read the first line of your May 8th, 2025 report.
Okay.
Do you have it in front of you, sir?
I do. Yes.
It starts, Dear Mr. Brennan. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Pursuant to your request. That's the request you're referring to of Mr. Brennan, correct?
Correct.
I have completed an additional analysis concerning the above referenced matter. To formulate opinions, the following additional items were reviewed. This wasn't done on your initiative. You put in writing you did it at the request of Mr. Brennan. Which is it?
So that was on my own initiative. This is a holdover, so a copy and paste from my original report.
You're explaining the May 8th report in your language pursuant to your request as a cut and paste from a previous report?
Yes, I am.
Do you cut and paste important information from one report to the other without checking it for accuracy?
I copy and paste certain portions.
Do you ever review what you cut and paste to see if it's accurate?
Yes.
You didn't review it this time, though, did you, sir?
No, I did not think it was significant.
Oh, you don't think it's significant, sir, that the matter is in the middle of a trial and there's a request for a new report after testimony has occurred in that trial? You don't think that's important?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why did you prepare the new report then?
Sure. So there was a claim from a PowerPoint presentation by Mr. DeSogra of trying to adjust clock syncs or making clock adjustments based on the synchronization of certain events. That was produced in March. Upon reviewing that, my initial thoughts were to address that in testimony. But as I was preparing for trial, I made the decision that it needed to be better addressed in a supplemental report.
But you understand that the report that you're referring to, that's the report of Mr. Soger, correct?
It is a presentation of Mr. DeSogra.
It's a presentation. You understand his presentation merely was responding to the work that you did, correct?
No, that's not correct.
So your belief is that Mr. DeSogra's report didn't address at all what you had done?
Partially, yes, but no.
Okay, but let's cover the basics. You
Sure.
agree that Mr. DeSogra addressed, at least in part, the work that you had done?
He tried to address, yes.
Right. So do you know the date of Mr. DeSogra's report as March 5th? Does that sound right to you?
Yes, that's what I
So
said.
you had Mr. DeSogra's report that you claim was the basis for you on your own in the middle of this trial, creating and submitting a new report. You claim that the basis for that was Mr. DeSogra's report of March 5th of 2025.
That is correct.
You waited 2 months to do that?
Again, my initial thoughts were to address it on testimony.
Sure, it's not your thoughts. Just did you wait 2 months?
Just let him finish the answer.
This is my question, sir. Finish it how you like.
Sure. So
2 months, was it 2 months between March 5th and when you submitted your report on May 8th? Was that 2 months?
yes, it is.
So did you know when this trial was going to start, sir? Generally?
Yes.
Do you think it's fair to submit a report without anybody asking you in the middle of a trial?
Objection.
Sustained.
As we've been discussing, you issued a brand new report, in this case dated May 8th, 2025, correct?
Correct.
That changed your analysis, correct?
No, it did not change my analysis.
Were there changes to your analysis in it?
There were clarifications.
Clarifications.
Correct.
Let's address that. In your January 30th, 2025 report, you did not mention text stream event at all, did you?
No, I did not.
And you didn't mention collision at all, correct?
No, I did not.
And you mentioned both of those now in your May 8th, 2025 report, correct?
I don't know if I mentioned collision. I'd have to go to my report and look.
But you certainly do mention text stream events, correct?
Yes, that's
and
correct.
you labeled them 1162.1 and 1162.2, correct?
Correct.
That's a change from your first report, isn't it, sir?
No, it's not a change. It's a supplement.
Oh, so your definition is that when you add something to a report, it's not a change, it's a supplement?
That is what it is, yes.
Who did you speak to regarding the May 8th, 2025 report before you prepared it?
And no one before I prepared it.
So you just prepared it on your own?
I did.
Did you have any communications at all? I asked you who you spoke with, but did you have any communications at all with either Detective Lieutenant Tully or Buchanan?
So I did reach out to Tully to get a full set of the location data, yes.
So you reached out to Detective Tully before you prepared your May 8th report, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Did he tell you that the trial had started in this case?
No, not during that conversation, no.
That's not the first communication you had with Detective Tully, was it?
No, it's not.
How many conversations have you had with Detective Tully?
I would say a handful.
How much is a handful?
I would be speculating, but we'll say 5 to 10.
5 to 10.
Sure.
Is Detective Tully expert at all in digital forensics?
No,
But you've had 5 to 10 conversations with him.
correct. To get provided information.
At any time, has anybody from the Commonwealth had a discussion with you relative to your January 30th, 2025 report or your May 8th, 2025 report about keeping flexible the timelines for any events in this case?
No, sir.
Did you have any discussions at all regarding the May 8th, 2025 report you prepared in the middle of this trial with anyone from the district attorney's office?
Yes,
When did you have those discussions?
that would have been on, probably May 7th when I reached out to Mr. Brennan.
So you reached out to Mr. Brennan on May 7th, 2025, correct?
Correct.
That's before May 8th of 2025, correct?
Correct.
So before you sent that report in, you had a discussion with Mr. Brennan about it, am I correct?
Correct.
What was that discussion about?
That was just a discussion over the data and what the report said.
So you were discussing with Mr. Brennan what was going to be in your report, including data and analysis, correct?
Correct.
Did you tell Mr. Brennan that you were going to be submitting the report shortly to him on May 8th?
Yes.
Did you agree to a time when you would submit that report?
No, I did not.
Did you tell him when you were going to submit it?
No, I did not.
But after the conversation on May 7th, you discussed with him that you had either pretty close to finalize the report. It's a pretty extensive report, right?
Correct.
So on May 7th, you were pretty well along the way in that report, correct?
Correct.
Did you let Mr. Brennan know that?
Yes.
So he knew the nature of the report. He knew how far along we were with it.
Correct.
Did you have any other calls with anybody from the prosecution's office other than that about your May 8th report?
No, I don't believe so.
Do you have any texts with anybody about your May 8th report?
No.
Did you communicate with anybody else about your upcoming May 8th report?
No, I would have provided a copy to Dr. Welcher.
Your colleague.
Correct.
So Dr. Welcher knew you were working on this report, correct?
He knew I submitted the report. I don't know if he knew I was working on the report.
Did he know you were going to submit the report before you submitted it?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Did he know what was going to be in the report?
Yes, he did.
Did he support the fact that you were going to submit a report in the middle of trial?
I can't speak for Dr. Welcher.
But he knew you were going to do it.
Correct.
Did he say anything, don't do that? Or did he have any comment about the fact you were going to submit it?
Not that I recall off the top of my head.
Not that you recall, so is it possible he did comment on whether you should submit it in the middle of trial?
No, he would not have commented on whether I should have submitted it or not.
How many times in your career, sir, have you submitted a supplemental or amended report in the middle of trial?
This would be the only one that I recall.
So this is the only time. How many years have you been doing this?
Approximately 10 years.
And so approximately 10 years, this is the first time you've submitted a amended supplemental report in the middle of a trial.
A supplemental report. Correct.
Supplement, as you call it, a supplemental report in the middle of trial.
Correct.
Do you know a person by the name of Ian Whiffen?
Yes, I'm familiar with the name.
You say you're familiar with the name. Are you more than familiar with his name? Are you familiar with his work?
I'm familiar with his report in this case, yes.
So you're familiar with his work if you're familiar with his report, correct?
Correct.
Were you given do you know that Mr. Whiffen has testified in this trial?
No, I do not.
And with regard to Mr. Whiffen's report, did you read it?
Yes, I did read his report.
And that would be of interest to you, correct? That's why you read it?
Correct.
Because Mr. Whiffen's report, and are we talking about Mr. Whiffen's January 2025 report or his March 2025 report? Are you aware there's two of them?
No, I'm not.
Do you know which one you're referring to?
That would be the January report.
So the January 2025 report, are you aware that there's just a couple minor differences between the two reports, or you're just not aware of it?
I'm not aware either way.
Assume there's very minor differences with the reports. Mr. Whiffen's reports contain information and some detailed, and they're long reports, right?
Yes, they are.
So Mr. Whiffen's report contains information about the cell phone of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
It contains information about the location data in Mr. O'Keefe's phone, right?
Correct.
It contains information about the phone calls in Mr. O'Keefe's report, correct?
Correct.
It contains information about the temperature of the battery in the iPhone of Mr. O'Keefe, right?
Correct.
It has some timelines in that report, correct?
Correct.
And those timelines have very specific events that are represented in the data from Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone, correct?
Correct.
As a matter of fact, it's got location data and times that you have used in your report and PowerPoint presentation here, correct?
Correct.
When did you receive the report of Mr. Whiffen with regard to the cell phone of Mr. O'Keefe?
So I would have received his report sometime in January.
So 4 months ago, you had the report of Mr. Whiffen with substantial information about the types of databases you can find in the iPhone, location data, health data, phone calls, and a timeline, among other information, correct?
Correct.
You had all that information.
Correct.
And you had GPS location data in that report regarding Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone, correct?
Correct.
You know what an SQLite database is?
SQLite? Yes.
SQLite, yeah.
Yes.
And an SQLite database is one of the many databases that are contained within an iPhone, including Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone, correct?
Correct.
And you testified on your direct that you have general knowledge about cell phones, correct?
Correct.
And you say you've got certifications with regard to cell phones, correct?
Correct.
And your certifications include being able to read, celebrate, and apply the Celebrite tool, correct?
Correct.
And you have certifications that allow you to apply and utilize magnet forensics, like, for example, their Axiom program, correct?
Correct.
And you've done that in your career. You've applied those tools before this case, correct?
Correct.
And you've applied those tools after your work in this case. You apply them pretty much frequently, correct?
Correct.
So the tools, the databases in an iPhone, and all the location data, etc., that was all information you had and you knew and had facile with back in January of 2025, correct?
Correct.
And you had access to the SQLite database because you had Mr. Whiffen's report, correct?
Correct. I had the report.
You
Yes.
had the report. Do you recall on your direct testimony saying that one of the reasons that you did this supplemental report on May 8th was you got new information or more information about Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone?
Yes, correct.
You had that information through Mr. Whiffin's report back in January of 2025, didn't you, sir?
Correct. I had the report. I did not have the data.
Well, didn't Mr. Whiffin's report discuss location in a pretty detailed manner?
Yes, it did.
And didn't he use GPS location data in that report?
Yes, he did.
And you had that in January 4 months ago, correct?
Correct.
And you read it 4 months ago.
Correct.
Yet you still submitted a report on May 8th in the middle of this trial, correct?
Correct.
Are you familiar with a digital forensic analyst named Jessica Hyde?
I am familiar with the name, yes.
Do you know she's working on this case on behalf of the Commonwealth?
Yes, I think I have heard that in conversations.
Have you read any of her reports?
No, I have not.
So you're aware she's working on the case, but you're not aware of whether she's issued reports in this case.
Correct.
So you're not aware whether she has issued reports that mention about GPS location data, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever ask for her reports?
No, I did not.
Did anybody ever tell you or comment to you whether your analysis is consistent or inconsistent with the reports of Mr. Whiffen or Ms. Hyde?
No.
Did you watch their testimony in this trial?
No, I did not.
Did you learn of their testimony in this trial?
No, I did not.
Did anyone from law enforcement or any other aspect of the Commonwealth provide you with any summary of their testimony?
No, they did not.
But you had access to Mr. Whiffin's report with regard to his analysis and the data from Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone back in January of 2025, correct?
Correct.
Having read Mr. Whiffin's January 2025 report, you know that his report contains statements about movement and other activity of Mr. O'Keefe's phone after your time period in your original report of January 30th, 2025, correct?
No, not after the time period. No.
Let's take a look at that.
Sure.
Let's take a look at your January 30th, 2025 report. Well, we'll come back to that. I'll do that in an order that makes a little bit more logical sense. You've mentioned, and just to cover the foundational parts, that you're not the only employee of Aperture that's been hired to testify as a witness on behalf of the Commonwealth in this trial, correct?
Correct.
Your colleague, Judson Welcher, Dr. Judson Welcher, has also been retained by the Commonwealth through Aperture, correct?
That is correct.
Justin Welcher, Dr. Welcher is a biomechanical engineer, correct?
Correct.
Do you know whether Dr. Welcher holds any professional certifications?
I do not know.
Does Dr. Welcher's expertise extend beyond your own?
It is a different discipline than my own, yes.
So it's a different discipline. So it could be horizontally extended, and it also can be vertically extended depending upon the subject matter.
Sure.
That's a fair statement.
Sure.
Your colleague, Dr. Welcher, who is an engineer, did opine on the timing of the tech stream event 1162-2 in his report of January 30th, 2025, correct?
Objection.
Is this, the objection sustained?
I'll reword it, Your Honor. Do you know whether Dr. Welcher opined on the timing of tech stream event 1162-2 in his January 30th, 2025 report?
Yes.
So you do know.
Yes.
What is the timing of the tech stream event 1162-2 in the January 30th report of Dr. Welcher, your colleague?
Objection.
So why don't I see you at sidebars?
What are we gonna call this sidebar? 7? Let's call this one the official 7. 8, 7, whatever. I don't know what to do. Like, cause like we didn't mark one after 6. So I mean after 5. Yeah, I'm gonna say 7. I've been thinking about it, and I have not nodded off or left the room, so I don't think I missed the sidebar. I mean, I could have. Jin says it's sidebar number 2 of too fucking many. Yes, it is. Exactly. Like, I mean, I took the dog out during the lunch break, and I haven't had to leave. No neighbors barking at the door. No, I mean, knocking at the door. No dog barking in the yard. Nothing like that. So I've been here, and, unfortunately for me, I've been awake. Although I don't know if you could call my state listening to Alessi actually awake. As awake as I can be. Then Oktoberfest. I think so, Rodin. I think you're right. Oop, he's coming back. He's coming down. Oh, he's just giving us a view of the galley. Okay, here we go. And we're back again quickly. Elizabeth doesn't look, Miss Little does not look too happy today. And Alan Jackson is still all red-faced.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Burgess.
It's Burgess, by
You're
the way.
aware that Dr. Welcher created a PowerPoint presentation with regard to his work in January of 2025, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever discuss that work with Dr. Welcher that he was doing?
No, I did not.
Did you ever review any of his work at any point, including up to the point where you're sitting on the stand today?
I have reviewed the slides that are included in Mr. DeSogra's presentation.
Okay. In the slides that are included in Mr. DeSogra's report include, those slides you're referring to are the slides of Dr. Welcher, your colleague, correct?
Correct.
And the slides that are in Mr. DeSogra's report about Dr. Welcher that slide discusses the 1162-2 tech stream event, correct?
Correct.
So you have looked at, albeit through Mr. DeSogra, you have looked at the slide that Dr. Welcher had in his report regarding the text stream event 1162-2, correct?
Correct.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Welcome. May I have this marked as the next exhibit for identification, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. And of course, important.
AAA for identification.
Thank you. May I present it to the witness?
Yes.
Thank you. May I remain here for a few questions?
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Burgess, if
Yes.
you could take a look at what has been marked for identification is AAA, and tell me, once you've had a fair opportunity to look at it, whether you recognize that slide.
Yes, I do recognize that slide.
And sir, what do you recognize that slide as?
So it is a slide that states a number of times associated with text stream event 1162-2, which would be the second event.
And did you consider this exhibit AAA in your preparation of a response to Mr. DeSogra's March 5th, 2025 presentation?
Yes, I did.
I offer this into evidence, Your Honor, AAA for identification.
Okay.
I'd like to put the whole report in.
Your Honor, I have no need to put the report's 143 pages.
So I'm going to let this in, and I haven't decided yet about the whole 143 pages. Okay?
Fair enough, Your Honor. And I reoffer it into evidence, Your Honor.
Yes.
Exhibit 188.
Could someone provide me with that 143 page today, please?
Sorry, what you're asking for?
We can-
For a copy for me of that 143 pages before we leave today.
Before we leave, we'll get it, Your Honor.
Thank you.
One way or another. Thank you.
Yes.
You can, please.
Hold on, was it marked?
It's 188.
What number?
188.
Thank you.
May I present it back to the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, you now have what is in evidence as Exhibit 188 for identification. I draw your attention, and this is the slide that you considered in responding to Mr. DeSogra, correct?
In response to Mr. DeSogra's analysis of this slide, yes, correct.
And this slide, to be clear, is a slide prepared by your colleague at Aperture, Dr. Judson Welcher, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Sir, could you please read the time that Dr. Welcher states for the when infotainment trigger 1162-2 occurred?
So that would be text stream trigger, just for clarification, but yes, I can.
Well, let's go to that. You use the parlance text stream trigger. Dr. Welcher uses infotainment trigger, but it's 1162-2. You both use 1162-2, correct?
Correct. And I think that may be a misunderstanding of how he's worded it.
Well, Your Honor, I'd actually move to strike that about what Dr. Welcher, I'm just going to what the document says.
I'm just going to leave it, but go on.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the document says that the infotainment trigger 1162-2 occurred at approximately 12:31:38, correct?
Correct.
And that it ended at 12:31:43, correct?
Correct.
So we've got the trigger, according to Dr. Welcher, as of recently as January 30th, 2025, starting at 12:31:38 and ending at 12:31:43, correct?
Correct. According to the Lexus clock.
Right.
Yes.
So now let's go down to what says below. Per report from Ian Whiffen, O'Keefe's cell phone data showed, quote, most notably, all device lock events including the final lock event at 12:32:09, were user initiated by the user pressing the side button briefly. You see that, sir?
I do.
And did I read that correctly?
You did, with the caveat that's according to the iPhone clock.
Right. But in any event, that's what Dr. Welcher states on his slide, correct?
Correct.
Do you know, sir, that the iPhone data reported by Mr. Whiffen that you read, that Dr. Welcher references, do you know that report of Ian Whiffen says there was an end of a health event of 36 steps covering a distance of 84 feet that ended at 12:32:16, which is after 12:31:43?
Yes.
And you know that.
Yes, with the caveat those clocks have not been adjusted.
But you know that there was a end of health event of 36 steps covering a distance of 84 feet that ended at 12:32:16, which is after 12:31:43, correct?
Correct.
Just stating the comparison. So now what I'd like to do is to move on with regard to the analysis. So in Dr. Welcher wrote this, the slide he presented, it stated January 30th of 2025, correct?
It's not dated here.
It's not dated,
but
but do you know that Dr. Welcher created a report of January 30th, 2025?
I do know he created a report.
Right,
Correct.
and that's the same date as your report, correct? Your
Correct.
first report.
Correct.
So you both submitted your reports on the same date. They're both dated the same at least, correct?
Yes, if they're both dated the same, yes.
Yes. Are you familiar with the concept of pocket state in iPhones?
I am familiar through Mr. Whiffen's report.
Okay. You said you've read Mr. Whiffen's report, correct?
Correct.
So you know that Mr. Whiffen states that there was a pocket state detected on the iPhone of Mr. O'Keefe at 12:33:14, correct?
Objection.
So the same, I'm going to strike it, do it the same way, Mr. Alessi, okay?
I will, Your Honor. Thank you. Are you aware of whether Mr. Whiffen has put in the report you read a timestamp for detecting pocket states of Mr. O'Keefe? Are you aware of that in the report at all?
I am aware of that in the report, yes.
Do you know when Mr. Whiffen has noted a pocket state detected of Mr. O'Keefe's phone? Do you know?
So, Mr. Alessi, why don't you show it?
That's what I was going to do. I will, Your Honor.
Why don't
And
you do
if
that?
we could put it up, we've got it. That's already in evidence on the screen.
Okay.
It's already in evidence in screen.
So are you talking about Mr. Whiffen's report or?
Correct. Well, you know what? I'm going to show him the report, Your Honor.
Thank
I'll
you.
do it the way you suggest. Sir, do you recall the specific time that Mr. Whiffen has stated pocket states detected for the phone of Mr. O'Keefe?
No, I have not.
If I showed you a report of Mr. Whiffen, might that refresh your recollection as to when Mr. Whiffen has stated pocket state detected? Would that
Yeah.
help?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir, I'm going to endeavor to do that. If I could have a moment, Your Honor, I have it.
Yes.
Thank you. I have it, Your Honor, if I could have a moment.
This is frustrating when the defense doesn't know exactly what they are pushing about on you. He should be prepared. Maybe we should start criticizing his technique. Should he not bring his notes? Did he not review yesterday?
I'm just going to go to the page so we can do this.
This is heavily highlighted. These are the 2 pages. No. I'm saying this is.
Okay, I reset the mic. Does it sound any better? Because I see everybody coming in one by one to tell me how horrible, but I have reset it. So it should be better. So come back in and tell me one by one how great it sounds now. I know I don't sound great because my voice is going up. Thank you. Thank you.
Got an agreement of sorts with Mr. Brennan. Could I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
An agreement of sorts.
Mr. Burgess,
Yes.
I'm going to show you what are 2 pages out of the report of Mr. Whiffen that you referenced, and we've been discussing about pocket state.
Sure.
And this one here, if you just read this line, because it's the heading, and then the next page, and tell me, sir, with reference to this entry right here, if that refreshes your recollection with regard to a column of pocket state with regard to the phone of Mr. and whether it refreshes your recollection on any comments Mr. Whiffen made about pocket state.
Objection.
I'm going to see you inside back for 2 minutes on this. Okay.
Okay, that's number 8. Now are we at number 8? Wait a minute. Where did we decide last time? I'm going back up. I'm pretty sure I said 7. But I'm just going to double check before I type. Yep. This is going to be number 8. I think my mic has had enough of Alessi. I think my audio interface was like droning out. It does build up after a while. I'm glad the Hornets are gone. You would be voting. I think our record is 13. We hit a bit going a couple of days.
I thought maybe we'd get a few more minutes, but I understand.
They decided we've had enough of you.
Discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And please be careful with your social media use. We will see you tomorrow night. Thank you very much.
All right. Closing notebooks and follow me, please.
Okay, I'll leave it off while we talk for a minute. So the good news is that we don't have to listen to any more footage. The bad news is we have to start again with continued cross-examination first thing in the morning with Mr. Shannon Burgess and Robert Alessi. and it's probably going to go on most of the morning. Anyway, it does sound like that's how it's going to be.
Jury's left the room. You can see
Okay.
So are we all set, Mr. Alessi, on this issue and for each time that might occur?
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. But what is the issue? Any ideas, everybody? Like, all right. So on that, I don't know. This is the frustrating part. I mean, it is up to the defense to do their best they can to go against any evidence that gets put in by the Commonwealth and their theory. But did you notice that he's not exactly addressing the data that actually removes the time difference and puts all three devices in coherence, in collaboration with each other as to the event? They are, because this is devastating to their theory. If they can place Karen Reed with John O'Keefe moments before, which they can already, they have, by Karen Reed's own words, by witnesses, by the arrival of her there, everything that's been said about it, witnesses from the house seeing the vehicle come up, people coming to the house seeing the vehicle show up. So they know they were together, okay? And then if we have the reversal time, a reversal event, meaning the vehicle, the Lexus, goes into reverse. That if we have that time frame coinciding with the time that John O'Keefe's phone stopped reacting to anything, because like it just stopped and started to drop temperature, and then we have the GPS that places the time of this event, the actual position of the Lexus, or where the Lexus actually is, as right near the flagpole where the body has been found the next day. That is devastating timeline information for the event. And they're not going against that. I mean, granted, does it look good that the man says he has a BS and he doesn't? No. But what he's testifying to and the methodology, he doesn't need a bachelor's in. He doesn't. Look at all. I had saw it on Twitter, the list of his credentials outside of the bachelor's degree, and there was all of that. They put it up next to Karen Reed's. It was kind of funny. All of the other certificates in the training for doing the extractions of vehicles in Celebrate, in phone extractions and etc. All of that additional training is what he's using for the information that he's providing in this trial. So I don't really see. Okay, so what about the GIAC Advanced Smartphone Forensic? What about Celebrate Certified Mobile Examiner, Magnet Certified Forensic Examiner, Magnet Certified Cloud Examiner, Celebrate Certified Physical Analyzer, Celebrate Certified Operator, Licensed Private Investigator in Texas and in Arkansas, and the Bosch Crash Data Retrieval Technician Analyst. These are all just certifications that pertain to the information that he's actually giving, but not his BS in mathematics or whatever. He's got his associates, and I think it's pretty crummy to pick on. I mean, everybody's kind of smashing on the fact that he hasn't finished that BS yet, but life happens, especially when you go back to college to finish it. I went back in my 30s, and it took forever to finish my bachelor's because I was raising a family and working several jobs and trying to do school 1 or 2 nights a week. It was murder. It was very difficult. And it took a long time. And if anybody said anything to me about it, I'd be like, well, at least I'm working on it. It's kind of insulting to the jury to say something like that. Karen Reed only reads one shot. She's rich and blonde. Is she actually blonde? She got that mousy kind of hair. She not blonde. No, she don't, Neil. She got that dishwater hair. What are you talking about? That I know that's very annoying there with the shuffling and all, and he didn't seem as put together as normal. But what really gets me is the indignation in his voice about certain things, like the audacity of people who do this. You didn't cross, dot an I or cross a T. Like, how dare you? You know. But and when I'm thinking about the stuff that they have pulled in regards of discovery and candor of the court, he's part of that team. I had a lot of respect for Robert Alessi as an attorney until he started with the dirty tricks in this insinuation over a word, the word homicide in the beginning, like that's just like that just shows you don't have much, you know. And I'm looking on the socials and they're saying that this witness has been demolished and his career is over because of that BS, that bachelor's degree. So I don't really think so. I don't. It is the defense is going to infer that this was all shady business. This was based on their experts' report, their experts' interpretation of the information, which even their expert said the timing was off. And this expert that was hired previously by the Commonwealth had decided that there was a way to actually, with the new information, now they could actually confirm the time difference between the Lexus and the phone and why the clocks were off. And so that's what he did. What they want to infer it as a gotcha, as trying to hoodwink the defense. Because again, the defense got caught with their pants down. It's their witnesses, okay, that provided the information. But they got a lot of nerve talking about a May 7th report from him when the ARCA witnesses just got finished putting in their testing. Seriously. The hypocrisy. It's not missing me at all. Did they forget all about that? Did they want to sit there like Alan Jackson and pretend that none of that exists? None of that exists. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to stay unbiased anymore when I see the shenanigans. The shenanigans really gets to me. And then to see people getting all tribal on you and piling up. I mean, people out there just waiting for the damn gotcha is hysterical. I just want the evidence to speak for itself. They can say all they want about that guy's BS. I don't care. I care about, was he qualified to give the information that he did? Answer me this, everybody in the chat. Seriously. If you were sitting on the jury, does that bachelor's of science matter as much as the certification he has in the actual methodology he used to come up with the data and confirmation of the data that was given in his report? I'm serious. Like, if you were on the jury, would that matter? Which is more? What he does every day for a living? And how do you think that makes the defense attorneys look when they spend all that time going back to his 2015 CV because they can't go against the evidence that he just gave? Does that smell of desperation? Does that smell of, oh, we'll do anything to get rid of anything? It actually points to the fact that they had nothing to push back on the actual evidence. Well, nobody wants to answer me about being the jury. Oh, wait, Liam is. I should think that most of the jury has an inaccurate CV in any one way or another. Listen, I have not looked at my LinkedIn since I left work years ago. I am so guilty of an expired LinkedIn with false information on it right now. I am so guilty. Like, just tie me up, send me to jail, whatever. I have not updated my CV in years. It doesn't smell of desperation. It is desperation. I agree, Rodin. I actually agree. Yeah. I hear you, Jen. I hear you. That's one other thing I'm waiting to hear also in regards to this information, which I haven't yet. Is it sounded like everybody's been talking on the socials, although I haven't really heard it in the legal circles as much. It's talking about Alan Jackson in his opening mentioning something that may have actually conferred to the fact that Karen Reed's car door opened. But I didn't hear that in the testimony so far. Well, I am interested in redirect today. Or actually it's going to be tomorrow morning or maybe tomorrow lunch, after lunch, depending on how long Alessi goes. Hey, JC, how you doing? JC, I just saw your message this morning. I wasn't online when you messaged again last night. Like, I got tied up. So I was actually watching a documentary on street art. It was really cool with the group. And then I went off. Well, yeah, I'd like to get together and have a conversation when you have time. Well, on that, everybody, that's it for today. Like, that's I'm calling it because, I am definitely, yeah, we've been live all day, JC, like since 9 o'clock this morning. We're doing the Karen Reed trial live every day until they're done. I don't know what I was thinking, because like when it gets like a day like today, yeah. Yeah, I am done. Yeah, I am done for the day pretty much. What is this that you're putting in there, Mandy, for me? Hold on. Let me see what this is. Oh, is that Alan? Wait a minute. Is this Alan Jackson's? Oh my God, he still has on there that he was running for district attorney in 2012. Are you telling me he hasn't? He has, oh my God. His LinkedIn still has his district attorney stuff on it from years ago. That's too funny. You're just cracking me up now. Between Karen still working at both of her jobs, which she has it for over a year and a half. Yeah, it's rich. But you know what? We don't get to put that into here. The jury doesn't get to know about that. That's that's a shame. Turtle says, surely the jury must be fed up with the defense's shenanigans. You would think, unless they think they're like got a point, like this indignation. I think they think if they yell like that and they act like it's just so offensive to them that the jury is just going to pick up on it like it's a real big deal. Because don't just forget, the jury doesn't get to know about their violations of discovery, about their lack of candor to the court, and almost getting sanctions. And then it's on the record of how they lied. Outright lied. Misrepresent. Oh, they like the term. Let me use a better term. Misrepresented. in February of this year that they paid those experts last year. Now, paying the experts is not illegal or wrong. Lying to the court about it when you were asked in February is, especially when you were representing those witnesses as hired by a third party and being neutral, and kept throwing the word neutral around and wanted to emphasize that with the jury that they were neutral and they're just coming in to help us because it's so important, the information that they have, that we didn't contact them. We didn't contract them to come and give our side of the story. They're not actually a paid witness, expert witness of ours. They're a neutral, unbiased expert from a third party. Yeah, they worked for a third party, but bullshit, you didn't hire them to come on board and tell your side. And bullshit, there wasn't an email that actually said from Dr. Wolf, who, gorgeous as he is and so affable and charming, is full of crap when he actually presented to Alan Jackson. If that testimony in that report is not to your liking, we can change what we can change it. Yeah, that was in the email. And then trying to say they didn't talk about the freaking testimony. Well, if you didn't talk about the testimony, then why are you asking him if it's okay? And if you didn't talk about the testimony, then why are you saying you can change anything that doesn't suit, what they should go on if you didn't talk about it? Oh, and there's nothing going on here. There's nothing going on here that's shady that we don't already see. Why are you using Signal app and deleting hundreds of your text messages with each other? I wonder. I think everybody should wonder, and I can't wait for the cross on that one. He's done nothing to be fired for? I don't think he's going to get fired because, his bachelor's doesn't have anything to do with the requirement for his job. And he was in the process of having it. It's an outdated LinkedIn. I don't think he's going to get fired because he did his job. And if you look at all the certifications he has for the job that he's doing, he's qualified. Why would he get fired? I don't think he's going to get fired for it. If he got fired for that, then the whole defense team should have got fired for what they did. And actually, the judge wanted to do something about it, but she is very adamant that the defendant should have the team that she wants. And as long as it went on record that Karen Reed was aware of the violations, and she can't use that on appeal now. She's not going to be able to use. She's not going to be able to use their bad judgment to appeal anything because she decided to go forward with those attorneys, and it's on the record. Beverly Cannone made sure that was done. I don't think. Do you really think that he should get fired for not updating a resume for stating that for when it's not a requirement of his job? If it was a requirement of his job, then I actually think that he possibly could be fired. But if it's not a requirement of his job, if that's not the bare minimum to have his job there, because look at the list of certifications he has in the actual methodology that he was using. And I was just reading them off before you got here, JC. He is overly qualified in all the technologies that actually are involved in doing what he did for this testimony. Yeah. What were the other reasons? I don't think that Alessi pointing out his resume as askew is a good reason. But I'm interested in what these multiple reasons are, because what else would there be? He didn't do anything else. I mean, he's being accused of doing stuff, but he didn't. He's not saying it. He's like, his words keep getting twisted too. I was just saying it, like, then, how many people would get fired for outdated LinkedIn's? Well, they can. In America, they can fire you for wearing odd socks. That's true, Turtle. It is true. I mean, does it make, is it a bad look for the company to be challenged this way, for him to be, but I don't really think it's a firing cause, to tell you the truth. Not when you look at all the other certifications he has. I would wait until redirect, because I just looked at the list of the certifications in regards to what he's actually doing in this case, as an expert witness, and this definitely qualified. That BS in mathematics and science, that doesn't make him qualified to work on the computers of that Lexus or to extract that data. All the extraction of data certificates that he has in actually the job training are the ones that make him the expert, not the BS inside. I mean, just practically looking at it logically, I mean, it's not a good look to get caught representing something. Absolutely, I agree with that. It's not a good look to get caught representing something one way that's not there, that is not true. It's not a good look at all. But fireable, saying that disqualifies everything he said, I don't think so. I think that's pushing it a little bit much. I'm sure the defense hopes that the jury will look at it that way. But that evidence that he put forward is so damning. That's why they're being so desperate about this. I mean, gosh, they pulled up a 2015 CV. That's pretty ridiculous. It is. Yeah, I agree. It could make a bad light because of that, The mid-trial thing is actually due to the information that was already there by their expert witness. And I don't think they really want to go there, JC, depending on the ARCA. You got to remember, ARCA's just finishing their actual testing now. It's kind of a hypocritical point, actually. I don't think they're changing his. That's where you're wrong. Go back to the opening statements, because that timing difference has been there from the start. It was in the last trial, and it was there in the opening statements. You see, now you're repeating rhetoric, JC, and I'm not good. I don't have rhetoric in there. You can have an honest argument, but don't repeat the rhetoric without the real deal, because in the opening statement of Hank Brennan, he mentioned the time difference. That 50, what was it, 38 seconds that they've been talking about since last trial. And it's been there. And all this did with the new information from the box, and that was actually acquired in November, permission to actually acquire that new information. And then this expert said, with that new information, we can actually solidify that 38 seconds and get a real cohesive time frame to actually join all of the technologies together onto the same clock. That is not new information. It's not. Because if it was, why would the judge allow it in? She's very careful. As much as people say about Beverly Cannone, and they don't like her. They don't like her when she goes against the defense, but she's very defense pro. She is very for the defending. She was a defense attorney, and almost all of her, she gives them a lot of leeway. You're going off the cross, but you got to listen to the ending. He's accusing him of that in the cross. That's not a fact, because he's asking the questions. Because Hank Brennan had this in the opening statements. So it's not new information. They're accusing him of bringing it in because they were pissed off that his final report was dated a certain date. But they knew this information all along, JC. That's a fact. And that was the deciding factor of Beverly Cannone when she allowed it to come in on Friday. Friday, they had the hearing on it, and Alessi's still just pissed off because he kept complaining that the final report is dated May 8th. They knew they were working on this all along. They knew that the 38-second thing there was there. They're just upset that he now has a way to actually quantify that 38 seconds down to matching the other clocks for the cell phone in the GPS, because that's a big thing for the jury. If you can match all three of those clocks together, there's no reasonable doubt with the, because they kept harping on that 20 seconds. I mean, in one actual cross, Alessi actually said in that 20 seconds could have been when he went all the way through to the house and back, even though there's no footprints and nobody ever saw him in the house or anything. Like, so you can't actually use just what they say in cross. You have to use the whole thing, I mean, it's fair, it's actually fair to speculate on it, because a jury could be looking at it your way also, that whatever the defense is saying is actually accurate. Yeah, we can agree to disagree. Absolutely. Oh no, it's not an issue at all. JC, don't take it that way. That's how it goes here. We all talk about it like back and forth like that. My only point in talking to you about it is the additional information. Some of the things that Alessi tries to insinuate are just not true. They're insinuations, because that's what the defense does. But it's a fact that Hank Brennan had this information in there since the opening statement. And that this 38 seconds has been an ongoing issue with all of the experts, including the defense's expert, as admitted to by the defense when they actually did the oral arguments on Friday. They had to. No, they're done for the day, Maggie. We're done. So I guess, like, if you didn't hear the oral arguments on Friday, that you wouldn't know that. So it's like, it's only informational. I'm just putting information out. I'm not arguing, and I hope you don't take it that way. But it's just a matter of I want all of the information out there. You can't. We never get to look at just one small part of it and make a decision on it. He is acting like he's blindsided, but he definitely was not. That timing difference and the need to address it was in his own expert's report. It came up in Whiffin's report. And like he said, even the fact that he entered into evidence reports from Dr. Welcher proves that it's been known, the difference in the timing since before they actually got permission to re-examine the Lexus computers, based on the fact that there was not a complete extraction done. I mean, how does the defense go for that? They can't really argue about that. It's just a complete extraction didn't go in their favor, because there was additional information to actually narrow the timeline down and to actually make it more precise with all the other devices. I mean, it's damaging testimony. I don't blame them for pushing so hard to get it removed. But I don't really see the guy getting fired about this. I see a lot of sensationalism. I see a lot of the way that they blow things up. But the facts is, when they did their cross-examination, they really couldn't attack that part of the information, could they? All they're trying to do is the credibility of the witness, and that's a defense tactic when you can't go against the evidence, because the evidence is solid. The data and the science behind the evidence of what this man was putting forward as an expert is solid. And as much as they want to make a big deal about his LinkedIn, it really, that degree is not the expert for what he has his job in. I guess we'll see. Just the same thing as two things can be true at once. We can admit that Michael Proctor was not good. Not good. He said horrible things, okay? It doesn't mean the whole investigation is tarnished. It doesn't mean that the evidence doesn't stand. That doesn't mean that John O'Keefe didn't have a hair on the thing. Doesn't mean that there's not a broken tail light. Doesn't mean that the actual data extractions prove that there was an incident. Like, none of that goes away because of Michael Proctor being an awful, or being fired and saying awful, horrible, unprofessional things and acting a certain way. None of that goes away because of it. It's just how I look at it. Some of the evidence just stands on its own. Two things could be true at once. The investigation was flawed. Everybody knows that. There was a blizzard. Things happened, But was Karen Reed drunk? Yes. Was Karen Reed behind the wheel of that Lexus? Yes. Was John O'Keefe found on that lawn? Yup. Were they together just moments before his phone stopped actually working? Yes. These things don't go away. And I do hope that a man doesn't get fired for his CV. That's between him and his employer. Like, if it's a requirement of his job, they'll have to do it. It's a bad look to get called out like that on the stand, especially if he is a witness, a paid witness. Definitely a bad look. Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. But you have to give it to that. They didn't really attack the data. They had to attack the expert because the data is going to stay the same. The evidence of that data is going to stay the same. And even if they can discredit this witness, Welcher can bring it in himself, and he will. Their own witnesses, expert witness, will bring in the same data from the extraction, the new extraction from the Lexus. There's no doubt. So like I said, I'm not really arguing against like the bad look of the witness or anything like that. And everybody's entitled to an opinion. But I like to look at all of it, together. And I realize that two things can be true at the same time, often. Just because, Alessi did a really good job of turning, trying to put doubt on every word that this man says because he lied on his CV or the late timing of the information. But if late timing of information in discovery CD is the issue, then you better backtrack over how many times the defense has done that. And they're doing it right now with ARCA if they bring them in. Because they were still working on their testing last week. Serious. So, what are you going to do? I mean, there's so many parts on both sides that look terrible. Yeah. I mean, the Proctor issue is absolutely horrible for the Commonwealth. Absolutely. But so is third-party conspiracy for the defense with actually no evidence of it. Just because names. Just because they were part of the police force. It's like it could go either way. It really could. Because it's really going to be up to the jury. And the jury doesn't get to hear all the extra stuff. Like even what we heard in regards to the oral arguments, in regards to this issue with this expert about bringing this actual new evidence in as of his new report from the beginning of the month, which was an additional report addressing the timing, just addressing those seconds in between and syncing them up and actually using the clock appropriately, realigning the clock, being able to use methodology, a standard of methodology to actually, with the new information from the Lexus, to actually firm it up as to the difference in that time and match up the timeline. So if that is the only difference in the testimony, it's not new. because that difference existed all along. You know, and they did the right thing by notifying and that they were going to be putting it in. That's how it's supposed to go. They sent the reports all around and sent it right to the defense. That's how it goes. If they were really trying to be shady, they wouldn't have. It would have just came out in the testimony and it would have got objected to and there would have been a whole big hubbub. But they did the right thing. This is like, you know, he's got additional information. He gave it. Happens all the time. You can be sure the defense will be doing it too. They already have. They already have. They did it with the Higgins texts. They entered all of them instead of just a selection. And when they did, they allowed Hank Williams to write another motion to enter Aruba information that they had agreed he wasn't going to. So we're going to have to see about that. We'll see what happens on that. I don't know if she ruled on that yet. I have to go look. But anyway, that's it for me tonight. I'll see you all soon. Tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact, as we continue to cross with Alessi, because he still has more he wants to go over. And then we'll have redirect, and we'll see if we get other witnesses sometime tomorrow. That would be good, right? I'd like to see a couple more witnesses. I don't want to see this guy on the stand all day. I mean, you know, it's like beating a dead horse. You know. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and call me. And I'll see you in the morning.